Hey everyone, I've been so excited to share this with you as for the longest time I have been wanting to do some content around machine learning and AI. And today is the day. Not only I'm going to be teaching you this from a super beginner perspective, I'm going to show you how you can sell your own AI tools where they go for $500 to $10,000 a month. So what we are going to be doing is building an AI tool that can take a file with thousands and thousands of articles, sift through it, and basically tell you what each article is about. Okay, so here's an example of an article and the text that makes it up. Our AI is going to look through all the words and return back the category the article should be assigned to. Pretty cool, right? So this tutorial is going to take on a super simple approach, as I said, in building and teaching you some machine learning skills using Python. Once we complete this, you should have the knowledge to go forth and build your own AI tools. So not just for financial articles that you can sell to others online. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. So first off, let's start on the Gravity AI platform where you can see a full catalog of all the live AI models. We're just going to sign up to create our own model. So let's just go ahead and do that. This is essentially where we're going to be hosting our own model, such as the ones that we've just seen, so we can sell access to it to individuals or companies. Now, to build a model, we are first going to have to train our model, okay? And for this, we are going to need a lot of data. In fact, the more data, the better. In machine learning, a data set of text is also called a corpus, and I prepared a CV file for the occasion. It includes over 2,500 financial articles straight from Google News, which already have a category assigned to them. Okay, so it just looks like this, so that our AI can learn from it. You will find the CSV file in the description of this video, along with a few other files that we will be using, so just go ahead and grab that now. It's called Training Data CV. Great. So we have the training data. Now let's get to creating our AI model. So first off, I'm going to go into a directory of my choice and simply create a new directory or folder, whatever you want to call it, called Gravity AI Upload. And next, go into the directory and make a file called classifyfinancialarticles.py. The py is for Python, so that our code editor essentially knows to treat this like a Python file. Great. Now let's open up this project. I'm just going to use the shortcut code dot to open up VS Code. Great. So now I need to prepare VS Code to use Python by making sure the Python extension has been installed, which for me it has, and installing a Python interpreter. To install the Python interpreter, I'm simply going to write this command in my terminal and let it run. Once that has finished, you can check that it has all worked by checking the version. If you are watching this in the future and something isn't working later on down the line in this tutorial, it could be down to the version that you are using. Okay, so make sure to revert back to this version if that is the case. Okay, now I'm going to search for the Python interpreter by opening the command palette by pressing Shift Command P on a Mac to search and start typing Python select interpreter. And make sure the latest version is selected. And let's just go ahead and click on that for good measure. Okay, we are all set up. Let's check that everything is working as it should before carrying on. I'm just going to run a simple print hello, and let's use this play button that should now be visible for you. And great, hello has been printed in the console log down here. Now, let's write our code. So the first thing we're going to do is need a package called Gravity AI. It is essentially a helper package that simplifies code model deployment to the Gravity AI marketplace that we just saw. In fact, there are a few packages we will need. So I'm just going to write this in a requirements text file, which we needed for our model deployment to later on. So here are the package we will be using. Let's go ahead and install them all. using the command python 3m install -r requirements text. So just exactly like that, okay? And once that is done, I'm just going to import 2 of them into the file so we can use them. The other 3 will be for our pickle file, which we are yet to write. Okay, so the first one is pickle. The pickle module contains functions for serializing and deserializing Python objects. Pickling is essentially the process whereby a Python object is converted into a byte stream and stored in a binary file. We will be creating some pickle files later, so pickling and depickling is kind of important for us. Next, we have the Pandas. Pandas is an open source library for data analysis and manipulation, and it essentially provides data structures and functions designed to make working with structured data super easy, fast, and convenient. So now let's get to using these packages. Well, first off, I'm just going to open some pickle files that we are yet to create. The pickle files will be for our model, our TF-IDF, which I'll explain later, vectorizer, and our encoder. TF-IDF, or term frequency inverse document frequency, is another machine learning term. It is going to help us with the weighted count of the frequency of each word in our vocabulary, or in other words, all the words that appear in our corpus. Okay, so 2 machine learning words there, term frequency inverse document frequency, which will help us with the word frequency, and vocabulary, which means every word in our corpus. Great. So we'll go back to this. First, let's finish off the code that we have here. So now I'm going to write a function that's going to deal with an in path and an out path. This won't make much sense now until we build our pickle files in the next section, so just bear with me for now. The function is going to read the CSV file we put into it, saving it as input.df. You will notice we are using the Pandas package to utilize the read CSV method. Next, we are going to use our term frequency vectorizer to vectorize our data to figure out which words weigh heavily in our articles. And we will only want to do this on the body column of our data, and then we save the results as features. Now let's actually predict the classes, and we will do this by using the model, which relies on the financial text classifier pickle file that we are yet to write. Once again, this will all become much clearer when we get to actually writing our financial text classifier pickle file. And finally, let's actually give a verbal category into the category column for the article, and save the results to a CSV file which has an ID and a category. Great! Now let's pass the function into the Gravity AI helper, just like so. And before we run this, we of course need to supply the missing files. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's create those pickle files. So go ahead and open up Google Colab in your browsers. This is a free platform used by many computer scientists and will help us create our pickle files. I'm just going to rename this file for organizational purposes and get to writing some code. Now, Colab is quite handy as it already has a bunch of packages already ready for us to use without us having to install them. So the packages we are going to be using are sklearn, Pandas, JSON, and pickle. I'm just going to go ahead and import them along with the methods we want to use for them. Now, you might recognize some of these from the requirements text file. This is because we will need them for our pickled files when we take them offline and upload them onto Gravity AI. The Sklearn Library contains a lot of efficient tools for machine learning and statistical modeling, including classification, regression, clustering, and dimensionality reduction, and is one of the most popular libraries for machine learning. And Pandas, JSON, and pickle we have already covered. Now, we are going to read the CSV file containing the corpus we will be using to train our machine learning model. Okay, so there we have what we need. Let's run the code and carry on. So once again, we'll be using the Pandas read CSV method for this. So I'm literally going to drag the training data CSV in here. And when that is done, let's run the code. And now just get the results. So type in financial corpus DF again and run the code. And there we go. We can see the content of the CSV file as it is. So with the articles in the body column, the title of the articles, and the category it belongs to, okay? So we have our training data. We have it right here. Let's carry on. First, let's find out the different types of categories that we have available to us using the Pandas unique method to find this out. So that's what I'm doing, just looking in this file and finding every single category and then just returning the unique one. So it doesn't return like multiple categories to me. So click run, and here we have all the unique categories that exist in our corpus. Next, we will now build a machine learning model that can predict the article category given the content. In order to do this, we must first transform the data into a format that our machine learning algorithm can work with. First, we will convert the categories into numeric values. Sklearn provides a label encoder module that will take care of this process for us. So first off, let's instantiate the label encoder. And next, let's fit the label encoder to the categorical data. And now, let's create a column in the data frame containing the encoded categories and click run. Now to see all the labels given to each category, I'm just going to create an array of them and make sure to get the unique ones. So there we go. And ta-da! We have successfully transformed the article categories into numbers. So now if we have a look at the financial corpus, so let's get the financial corpus again and click run, you will see that we have created a new column called label, and we have labeled each category. So international finance now has the label 5, as you can see here, and you can see here each time you see the category, so it's the same. So we now know that international finance has a label of 5. Great. So each category now has a number that we can work with. And just like we created a numerical representation of each category, we will now create a numerical representation of the body of each article. For each article, we will actually be doing the following. We are going to tokenize an article, that is, break the article body into a list of tokens or words. Next, we're going to convert that word into lowercase so that everything, is standardized in a way. And we're going to remove these stop words. Now, stop words are just words like and, or, the commonly used words that we don't really want in there. By removing these words, we are essentially removing a low-level information or noise from our data and will allow our machine learning algorithm to really focus on the words that carry more significance. Next, we're going to remove the punctuation marks because just like these stop words, they're kind of useless. And finally, we're going to create a bag of words, which is essentially a vector representation of a document based on the number of times each word in a vocabulary appears in a document. Okay, so essentially this is going to help us figure out which words appear the most in a document using the TF-IDF algorithm, or the term frequency inverse document frequency, on which we already touched on briefly. Now, this is obviously a lot. Luckily, we don't have to write any of this code by hand, as Sklearn has a TF-IDF vectorizer module that will essentially do all this for us. So that's what we are going to use just right here. Next up, I'm going to create 2 variables, one for the body of my corpus, so that's what I am doing here, and I'm saving it as X, and one for the label. Okay, so we're going to get the label from my corpus and save it as the variable Y. So hopefully that makes sense. We have one more thing to do before we start creating these files, and that is vectorize the body text. We are going to do this using the random forest algorithm to create a model that can classify the articles. The random forest algorithm can be a bit more complex, so if you want to have a read on it, please pause here and do so if you wish. So Let's instantiate that. And now let's pass through the Vectorize body and the label to our random forest classifier. And great. So now let's get our classifier, which we saved as rf_clf, and save it as a pickle file using pickle dump. Next, let's get our vectorizer, which we now know vectorizes all the words thanks to the Sklearn package that has tf-idf vectorizer in it, and save it as a file called financial text vectorizer pkl. And finally, let's get the label encoder that we wrote, which as a reminder helps us give numeric labels to the categories, and save it as a financial text encoder as a pkl file. And click run. So now we have the 3 files we need, so let's go ahead and download them and just drag them over into our VS Code project along with the Python file and the requirements file. And let's just get those files. I'm simply just going to get the path to them and put them in the correct location that it is meant for so that everything runs correctly. Great. So we are now nearly done. I'm just going to add a Gravity AI build JSON file in here so that we can upload this onto the Gravity AI platform successfully. And there we go. We are now all ready to essentially upload this onto the Gravity AI platform. So this is all we need. We're going to zip this and then we're going to upload it onto Gravity AI. Okay, so make sure you have all this and let's do it. Okay, so back on the platform, I'm simply going to click on my account as we are going to first have to create an organization. So I'm going to call this Ania's space. You can of course call it whatever you want. And now let's go ahead and create our project. So I'm going to choose this first option right here and go to the next tab in which we are asked to name our project. So I'm going to choose to call this Categorize Financial Articles, and I'm just going to put in a quick summary that is not longer than 150 characters and click Create. Great. Now I've already pre-prepared some markdown for us. So here is what I have written. This is exactly what people will see when they come across my project. Feel free to write whatever you wish as well. Please take your time in making it as, thorough as possible. And once you are ready, just click Next. Next, we are going to have to actually upload our files. So make sure this is Python archive, and the files that I'm going to upload, well, I'm actually going to zip this up. Okay, so make sure to zip up the project that we have just been making. And once that is zipped up, I'm just going to drag it in here and wait for that to upload. And wonderful. Once that is done, you'll just be asked to fill out some more information. Which Python script file is the main entry point for your code? Well, that's going to be the Python file. And are we using a requirements text file? Yes, we are. So just go ahead and make sure that is linked up correctly. And great. The last thing we need to do on this is actually define our schema. Okay, so essentially with the CSV file that we are going to be uploading, making sure to tell this it's a CSV file, I'm going to say that our input, so the file that we are going to input, is going to have an ID and a body, because we are going to, be giving it some data that is just some text. And the output, well, the output is also going to be a CSV file. Of course, you can choose to work on whatever files you wish, but this is what I'm going with for now. And the output is going to have an ID and a category. Okay, so that is what I want my output to look like. We're going to upload some text, and then what is going to return is going to be the category of the articles. Okay, so now let's carry on. Now, once that has finished building, and only once it's finished building, just go ahead and click on the Manage tab, as we are next going to have to run our Docker container so that we can actually use this AI model. So to do this, make sure to have Docker installed on your computer. It should look like this. And once you have, just go ahead and download the file. So just go ahead and download that. And once it has downloaded, I'm just going to actually move this to my desktop. So I'm just moving that file to my desktop. And we're going to have to run the commands in green. So making sure to gravitate to the same place that I have downloaded that file. So I'm going to go into the desktop. I'm just going to copy that line of code and run it. Okay, so that is now finished. And then let's run the second line of code. And wonderful. So now if we go to localhost 7000, you will see our AI model and it is ready to use. So let's go ahead and check it out. First off, we're going to have to upload a license key. So let's go back to here and just download that license key. Okay, I'm just simply downloading it from here so that we can upload it onto our dashboard here running on localhost 7000. And next, we're just going to actually put in some data. So as we know, our data needs to have an ID and a body. And essentially, I'm uploading this data so that we can check if it works, right? So I'm putting in the data, it has an ID, it has a body, and I want the output of this to be categories. So I want to know what category each one of these, I guess, cells belongs to. So the data in each cell belongs to. So I've actually provided this file for you again in the description below, along with the other file. So just go ahead and import that and let the job work. Okay, and once the job has finished, you will see, ta-da! Okay, so we've taken this file and then we've used our AI model and it has returned back the categories for our data. So all the data here now has its own category based on our AI model. Okay, so this was super easy. We have checked it, it works. The last thing to do is just publish it. So I'm going to go ahead and click the publish button here. And once we are done with that, I'm literally just going to hit publish. And there we go. We have now officially launched our AI model. People can come and buy it and use it, and you will essentially see that revenue from the usage of your AI model. So hopefully this tutorial has been useful for you to go forth and make your own AI models, or just have a go at, building this one and see how you get on. Thanks so much again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.